Jordan Ryan from MOBDAY. Today, March 18th, marks the 5th anniversary of the release of our first album, Beginning Part 2. And we kind of just wanted to talk about that for a little bit and like how much has happened since then, how that record came along, because really, as much as we've evolved in these last 5 years since that release, I think that album still very much defines who we are. I think some of our best work to date is still on that record. It's something I'm very proud of, and I never take back anything we did as much as we've evolved since then. What do you remember about it?
It was definitely a turning point in terms of all the things that we were doing, in the early stages of the band. So it was really awesome to see us be able to get together collectively and pull out what's still in our minds is a great album, and it really opened up a lot of doors for us and got us into a lot of avenues. And
I actually listened to it too. I can put
still listen to it.
I can put that one on and enjoy it. Because I remember being in the studio writing a lot heavier stuff. I remember you weren't even really singing quite yet.
No,
you weren't even a singer.
I wasn't a singer at that point.
Yeah.
First time ever behind a mic.
Well, we had a full length worth of songs that didn't sound anything like what we eventually turned into, and then I think it was "Save Me." I came down with the riff to that.
Yep.
And we just started jamming it, and then we kind of thought like this direction
and
could be really cool.
In limbo on what we were going to do with the first album, we were basically writing those songs in a kind of a dingy studio that, for whatever reason, brought out awesome creativity in us. But it was definitely interesting.
Yeah. We had a lot come out of that. Well, really, the whole record was put together in that one.
One room.
Yeah, I remember Wax was actually written fully in that room.
Yep.
Generally, how it would be is I'd come down with a riff. Still to this day, a riff will start the song. Whereas Wax, that was all just being in that room and feeling it out. And it's a really strange song, but that was a really strange night. So
yeah,
we have that documented very well.
Other than that, there were some songs that were just really surprising on that album. I think the biggest thing for me was like a huge accomplishment was, being nervous out like while these guys are in the studio finishing little tiny guitar parts or polishing up some, drums or whatever on each song. It was funny because I'd be sitting out in the hallway, like basically hammering like all the things I was going to go through, scratching out ideas, rewriting things. There were some songs I remember being in there and literally coming up with ideas on the fly because I was thinking out in the hallway while listening in.
I think you invented a few words on that record.
There was a few words invented, yeah.
Singing backups for me was difficult on that record because Ryan would have these words that I'd stop mid-take, I'd be singing, and I'd just be like, what is this word? I think you just made something up.
They'd have to isolate my track and play it back and go, I don't think that's English, man.
Yeah. But it all worked. I think you hear that in that record that we weren't trying to prove our vocabulary,
no,
our songwriting, our playing. I think we just wanted to prove that we can write songs and we enjoyed doing it.
Well, then it was also, really driving home the fact that a lot of it was like dialing in sonic things. It wasn't necessarily having a crazy vocabulary of any kind.
Still, it's the biggest record we've ever put
out.
Oh,
absolutely.
As much as Vertigo has better songs, in my opinion, I think sonically the Beginning is just one of the heaviest records I've heard.
Oh yeah, and we still hear that, from some fans still, rave about Vertigo, but they'll fall back on, partway through the sentence going like, yeah, but you guys still came out with like such a huge album out of nowhere.
Yep.
So, and it's flattering in both ends of the conversation for us.
Yeah. Really, that album would have been nothing without the help of Dr. Dave, our mixing engineer.
Absolutely. Our extra member, if you will.
Yeah, he really is a member of this band that doesn't get enough credit. Even on Vertigo, he did the mixing and mastering on that. Did a great job, obviously.
Yeah. Even with his chaotic life.
Yeah, but mixed with Dave and his amazing talent, and obviously Virus helping us write 2 of those songs on the record.
Yep.
How that came about is we had about 5 songs that he helped us write, and then we ended up picking 2 for the record that we thought fit very well. For those who don't know, Virus is the guitar player of Dope. He's a friend of the band for a long time and offered up his help, and we got Behind These Eyes and Everything Good out of that. So if you like those songs and you like those hooks, thank him.
Shoot him a message.
Yeah. I remember getting those back and thinking that we could write more hook-oriented songs, whereas before I think we were kind of afraid to.
Well, that was kind of...
Because nobody else we ever played with was doing anything like that.
Yeah, and for me it kind of put me in that mindset to hear kind of a hooky-based vocal and hear things kind of layered in to see what ideas could happen, and that's, you know, in my opinion, is kind of why we didn't end up using all of those songs. Like, we kind of picked a few, and then literally, I mean, there was times when I would be locking myself in the studio with scratch demos, you know, and a crappy little Tascam 8-track recorder, and just spending all night running through different vocal ideas and different harmonies to try and see what would fit well. And yeah, it definitely changed a lot on that.
Speaking of harmonies, I mean, we never, like we were saying before, we were very heavy before this, and we didn't no melody whatsoever, really. And but that was okay. We were young and just wanted to play loud. But do you remember when we decided that we wanted to do like a lot of harmony parts? You were living in a camper. And
Yep.
And we put on, I think we practiced singing harmonies together to, I think, Velvet Revolver's first album.
Well, there's a few, yeah.
The first Godsmack record, I think.
Yep. Plus we did the
Stone Sour or Slipknot or something.
Yeah, and we also toyed around with like the acoustic album and
yeah, that's right.
a bunch of stuff. I mean, we spent a lot of time just going over stuff.
Yeah. So if you could picture me and Ryan, hot as hell, summertime in a camper in his
crappy
backyard,
camper with a really crappy radio blasting,
just practicing harmonies. It was
basically pissing off every neighbor for like 5 miles.
But hey, I mean,
it paid off.
You hear what it turned out like on the record, so it was well worth it.
Absolutely.
And obviously that opened up so many avenues for us to, like, we've been doing a lot of acoustic shows lately, and we're also working on an acoustic EP right now, so you guys can finally hear what that sounds like, which I've always wanted this for this band, let alone any band I've been in, like, to show that dynamic range that,
yeah, that,
like, we grew up on bands that could do that.
Absolutely.
And I think that was the appeal, is that they could be really heavy,
absolutely
awesome, but then they could tone it back and the song was still there. It lost no integrity whatsoever.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some songs that, you know, we did acoustic and it was almost like it was heavier.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous to hear that because it just drove that bottom end and the harmonies popped out so much more in a live scenario. It was crazy. And I think the best part about all of that was, you know, seeing the faces of people in the front that were like hearing songs off the first album and going, wow, I never thought it would sound like that acoustic. So yeah, definitely very gratifying to take that leap of faith and try it.
Yeah, and as much as we might try to not play songs off that first record anymore as we keep writing new ones, really, without that first album coming out and us deciding to record it, we really wouldn't be here with the sound we have right now that we've come to love and be so proud of.
Absolutely.
So I remember the record wasn't really supposed to happen.
No.
There was there's an album that you guys will never hear, I'm sorry, but there was one that was pretty much done.
And sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah.
We'll phrase it that way.
Nothing, just we weren't feeling it, and eventually we just kind of decided to start again, and that's where the beginning came from, and obviously that turned out pretty good, if you ask me, so I'll take it.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that we haven't been asked that more often, was where the title came from.
Oh, beginning part 2?
Yeah, like
well, let me
like
explain
that
it
never
once
happens.
and for all here. I've told many of you this story that have asked, but here it is. So, like I said, we had that first record almost ready to go, but then it didn't happen. Mind you, record number 1, that's what that was. But then when we went to the beginning part 2, the idea was that it's our first record technically that was coming out, so that's where the beginning comes from. But part 2 is kind of us making fun of ourselves that we didn't get it right the first time. So second time's a charm. So that's the beginning part 2. Nothing nothing too deep there. Just kind of us poking fun at ourselves for not being very good at it the first time around.
Perfecting it. The second time around.
Which our album titles always reflect where the band is at that moment in time. The beginning part 2 was us starting over and just, creating a new image and a new sound that we wanted to take out and show everybody.
Yeah.
Whereas Vertigo, when we were recording that, I quit the band on the first session.
Yeah.
I told everyone, I was like, this is probably my last day, and we did it, but then as it was developing, we kind of heard, we're like, all right, let's keep this going.
With all the stuff that I was going through, it was funny because there were some songs that you just that were wrote, and the demos were kind of floating around. We weren't actually, even recording yet, and I think some of that was, even like the turning point on your decision was hearing, the way we've kind of phrased it is, melodic anger, I guess. Tons of personal crap. So there was a very aggressiveness to it, a lot of dark vibes to it, but we totally pulled out some very eerie sounds, and we tried to make anger sound as pretty as it possibly could. I guess is basically how it started coming out, and it struck a nerve with both of us. So that was basically the Vertigo part was the chaos and.
Yeah, and we call it Vertigo. We call it Vertigo because I was afraid that this band was falling and it was going to be the last thing we did. And I'm glad it's not the last thing we did because I think we came out with a good record. But
yeah,
again, Vertigo with all of its darkness, I think the beginning shows a band that was just young and hungry and just wanted to get a good album out. That's all we focused on that. We didn't have a title.
Well,
or
that's funny,
artwork in mind at all through the process. No. I think we just went in the studio. Because I got hooked up with that studio because I did a session there.
Right.
And then I heard the playbacks. I was playing drums for this band, just filling in, working on a record. And then the engineer played it back, and I was like, wow, I think my band would sound cool through here. So it was kind of just, let's go hang out and see how
let's go hang out. His mixes right out of the gate sound phenomenal. Yeah. And that makes Dave's job so much easier.
Yeah. Which the guy we're not mentioning, Patrick.
Patrick, yes.
Patrick Campbell, he did an amazing job. He also did Vertigo.
Yep.
And I think he really captured those moments in time for us too. Because with the beginning, we were just these young kids, late teens, early 20s, some of us. I think he just got it, that what we were going for. The tracks were heavy, they were fun, and it'll always be one of my favorite records, not only that I've worked on, but I can listen to it too, and I think the songs are really cool.
That, and I don't think he'll ever forget us.
No.
Some of the conversations and the yelling back and forth, like Jordan and I yelling at each other to get vocal parts right. Mostly Jordan yelling at me. Because he basically found out very early that if he yelled at me and told me that I did a crappy job, I would go in there and prove him wrong. So, naturally, the mixing room was always full of laughter. And out there, I'm totally out of the loop with headphones on and, isolated off from everybody, So it's always interesting. But, yeah, he definitely created an amazing masterpiece, honestly, on both records. But, yeah, from day one, I think he was stoked to see us come back in, but I think he will never forget that first album.
No, and I wish there was video of that first album because sadly I really don't remember recording it. I know
we spent a lot of time doing stuff in there too.
Yeah, I remember. I kind of remember the process as a whole, but I wish there were those little moments I could remember of it because I know we had a great time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it seemed to go really fast because the excitement was definitely there, and we knew that we had a good product about to come out. And yeah, we did the release party. It'll be 5 years ago today, March 18th. I can't believe it's been 5 years. Actually, I put that record on and think that we just put it out, and Vertigo's been out for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I think it's been funny because the whole time we put those, even both of those, we put them out, and we really weren't putting them out for necessarily having huge CD sales or anything like that. It's like, let's put out something so we have more stuff to play and we can play out more.
Yeah.
You know, let's put out something that sounds good, something we can stand behind. But it had nothing to do in our minds about selling stuff. It was like, no, we just want an excuse to play more. We want to have stuff that, you know, keeps people engaged and we have fun with, but let's just get in there and make a wicked fun record and have it sound as sonically awesome as we can, you know, and that's what's kind of drove home with that, you know, at the beginning is that's basically what we've gone for the whole time. So, yeah, it's amazing to look back and see how long it's been.
It really is. And some of those songs stand the test of time better than I thought they would.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of figured the album would come out, and then a couple years later we write some new stuff, and they would kind of just fade up. I mean,
you know, we
haven't gone one night without playing
No.
Save Me,
that's
Forsaken,
been a staple.
The Vow.
Yep.
I think it's been at every show.
Well, that's like I was gonna say. What was that website? Was it Number One Hits or something like that?
Number One Music.
Number One Music.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a flattering site for us because we didn't really. That was the first site that we got bombarded with your guys' comments, questions. But it's amazing to me. Speaking of songs on the first album standing the test of time, after all this time, after having another album out, you know, and obviously you guys know we've been pushing Vertigo, but what really stood out was it's like we got crazy amazing comments on both. I mean, we still get comments on people, you know, talking about the beginning part 2, saying that it changed their life, you know, which is awesome. It was not the original goal, but definitely gratifying to hear that somebody's connecting with it, somebody's, you know, relating to it, whatever, you know, whatever you're getting out of it is awesome, you know.
And I'll tell you the truth right now too. This is 100% true. Probably once every couple weeks I will get a letter on our Number One Music profile and just people talking about, especially the song Forsaken.
Oh yeah.
About how that like got them out of a shitty part of their life.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is cool because when that song comes up in the set, we can have the worst show ever. But I just know that at the end of it all, Forsaken's coming up, and we are about to just
hammer out
tear
every ounce of last bit of energy we've got in us. Yep.
And that's, to me, that's all that song is about. I don't know what Ryan wrote about in that song, but all I know is that when that one comes on, whether it's on the CD in my car or when we play it live, I just know it's about to go off. And I appreciate the people who looked at it that way too, because this. Not only this album, music in general, all the bands that we listen to, I mean, that saved our lives. That's why we're here talking to you right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why we did what we did, is we basically set out to have fun and make a band that we couldn't find.
Yeah. And to even think that there's one person out there whose life we made a little better.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you knew me when I was 12 years old. Who would want to be a fan of this?
Yeah, yeah.
But
in case anybody doesn't know, Jordan and I went to school together, so we've known each other forever.
Yeah, and I look back at those years, and we didn't even talk about making a band together.
No.
And that just kind of happened. And to think that we are able to, you know, change some lives with these little songs that we've written. I mean, I can't thank all of you enough for the support you've given the first record and the second one too. I think they both done phenomenal. We didn't really expect much out of either. We just wanted them out so you could hear them. We were going to play live no matter what, no matter who showed up. But the albums, they are there for you. We recorded those so you can enjoy them. And hope you guys keep listening. We got a lot more coming out, working on the acoustic EP, and hopefully another record soon. Hopefully we can get something put together in the next year, something like that.
Yeah.
But please, keep listening. We'll keep writing. Down in the comments below, ask us any questions. Let us know your favorite song off the beginning part 2. We want to celebrate this 5-year thing.
Any questions about it? Any thoughts, feelings, whatever? Yeah. Absolutely.
We love hearing from you guys, and we are very thankful for everything you've done for us. And thank you so much. Oh, wait a second so I can fade out.